Welcome to Shomach Shovan and Dav Shir sponsor Lui Nishma Sam Yakashom Le'abas Yitzchok. We're holding Basra Dav Chofei. The Gemara towards the second part of Amud Bey says, Omar Yitzchok, Haroitze Sheyachkim Yadrim V'Sheyashir Yitzpin. Someone who wants to become a Chacham, when he davens, he should face the south. And someone who wants to become rich, when he davens, he should face the north. Says the Gemara, V'Simonach, what's the simon for it? Shulchan Matzavoin. The Shulchan Beis Hamikdash was in the north. That's where the bread is. That's where they're talking about Parnasa. And the Menorah, which is the candles, which is Or Torah, that's in the south. So that's exactly the idea that the Chacham is in the south and the Parnasa is on the north. So the Marashal points out right away. He says, really bread comes from the south. As the Gemara said earlier, we learned earlier that there from the south and wind comes the clouds and it brings out the grass and it grows the food. So the south brings the bread. The bread is the minimal amount that a person needs. So a person who wants to learn Torah, he should look at the south and ask for the minimal amount of sustenance he's able to focus on Torah. While someone who wants to become rich, he should focus on the north. Because there is the gold. The gold belongs to the north, as the Gemara said before, referencing the north and the gold. Look, Hasha the Marashal, the Gemara there said when the north comes, the gold becomes cheap. But the Marashal learns that the gold is associated with the north. So the south is the minimal sustenance a person needs. And the north is abundance of gold. But says the Marashal, but what do we have in Beis Hamikdash? In Beis Hamikdash, the north has lechem upon him too. It's also only bread. What's pshat in that? Because this is the remes, says the Marashal, that even the rich people, they have abundance. They should be mistapik memud. They should not go and indulge too much. They should be mistapik in the lechem, to watch it's the minimal amount to live. Continues the Marashal and says, the next part of the Gemara says, the Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi says that face only the Dharam. He says, because really the real Asher is someone who's a Sameach Bechelkoi. So someone who faces the Dharam and he's a Chacham knows and he's the real rich one. There's no point in face the north and getting the Zav. This Marashal touches upon what's brought down in Sefer Chasidus. It's brought down in the name of the Maggid Mezrich. It's brought down in the name of Nachmi Breslev. That you see over here in the Gemara that seems to be the richness and Chachma doesn't go together. Either you go to the north and then a person becomes rich, or you go to the south and then a person has Torah. But it can't be both. But we do know there's a concept called Torah Gdula b'Mokem Echad. So how does that work? So they say the pshat is you can't have both if each one is a strong thing. You go to this edge or to that edge. But when a person is an anov, a person doesn't hold of himself, he's mivatel himself. So then he doesn't noite to any kotze. It doesn't belong to any specific place. He can have both. Explains Rabbi Eliezer Dessler. What do they mean? He quotes Rabbi Nachman Breslev and he explains it. He says it's like this. Well, if a person feels that he has a kinyan, he's very smart, he's a chacham. It's a great nisayim, it's a great challenge. He's going to have to come and challenge this whole life without a harigosh that he's a chacham. If a person is rich and he feels good about himself that he's rich, so that's a big nisayon. It's a big challenge. You can't give a person a double nisayon. He's going to be also smart and ashir, and he's going to have both milas and go around with that. It's a terrible nisayon of gaiva. But a person who is an anov and he chaps that nothing is really his. Whatever he has comes from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So he can have both because anyway he doesn't hold anything as him. So the challenge is not as great. So when you use a number, you can have the tzafon and the dharm together. Mention two other nekudas al zeh derech in this way, learning of how you combine both. One is the Pirush Sharif on the Ein Yaakov. Then he explains what it means that Reitzelakim Yadrim or Lahashi Yatzpin. It's not either or. It means that's how you do both. Because as the Gemara tells us, Dharam is your right side and Safan is your left side. So if you make the Chochma, the Ikar, that's your right, that's the main avodah. And you make the parnasa, you make the work, a tzafon, a left side, not so chashuv. As the Mishnah Navas tells us, you say melachtecha arai ve toiroscha kva. So the main thing is your Torah, and the parnasa is the not so important, so then you get both. If you want to be machkim and mashir, the chachma should be to your right and the oisha should be to your left. And the Ksav Sofer brings the name of his father, the Chasav Sofer. He says like this: we have the menorah, we have the shulchan. What about the aron? The aron was in the middle, and the aron has the Torah. And in addition, why the Torah shulchan comes before the menorah? The Torah speaks about the shulchan before the menorah. If the shulchan is the oisha, so says the Ksav Sofer, name of his father. A regular Talmid Chacham who's being supported by somebody else. So what comes first? The Zvulun comes before the Yisachar. So the Machziki Torah comes before the Torah itself. But the Aron speaks about a tremendous tzaddik, someone who does not need a Zvulun. He's being supported directly by HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And therefore there I don't have the Shulchan. The Shulchan doesn't come before the Aron comes first. And to use this idea of Ksav Sofer, you can connect it to what we're just talking about right now. Because it really speaks about different levels of Torah. The level of Torah, which is being supported, is in this world. So then, you have to pick and choose. You either become an Asher or become a Talmid Chacham. But there's a higher level of Torah Gdul B'Makam Echad, which is the Anava, which is a special Maila a person can get to. And that belongs to the Aron. The Aron Einu Min Amida. The Aron doesn't take any space. So the Aron means the person whose mamish is completely removed from any part of Gaivo, so he has shaykhs to both. That's why it's right there in the middle. Anyone who wants to join the Shor Machshava, email us to Portugal, please email shormachshava@gmail.com.